Hi everybody. Today I'm going to show two different kinds of hearts. One's with vertical holes and one's with horizontal holes. So hopefully that'll help some of you out. And as usual, you can see my latest works in progress and get a hold of me through facebook.com/jeansbeads. So the first heart I'm going to make is the red one that was on the left. And you want to actually get your holes all determined and nicely dimpled before you flatten into the disc shape that you're going to use for your heart. And this is the horizontal hole, which is usually the types of hearts I make. It's my norm. And so I'm gonna I'm kind of out of screen when I smash this, but I heat the whole mass, let it sit for a while to droop down, and then I am in shot, and then I smash it into a nice disc shape, and it's still kind of thick there, you could see. But then I want to make the cuts for the little humps on the top. So this bead, actually the little dots along the left side of the bead actually kind of melted too quickly and got stuck together. They melded together, and I tried to fix it, and it still looks okay, but I wasn't happy with it, of course. I'm very picky. So I made a second heart, which is white, and I will show you that also. But what was interesting about that heart, and this happens sometimes, is that the front side, or what I would normally look at the front side and design the front side, came out to be the back side. So if I was right-handed, it would have been perfect. But since I'm left-handed, I usually have that side, which is showing right now. So I hold it in my right hand, but I decorate with my left. And so I would have the heart facing upright towards me when I hold it in my right hand. But in this case, the white heart actually was backwards. So I had to make my design backwards, and I kind of wanted to show you that too. So I have a little bit of that in this video also. But so after I make my initial cut, I work on each hump of the heart, and I want to make sure they're even with each other, the same height, they're the same curvature, so they look really nice and well defined. And I'm just adjusting. My glass kind of smooshed out a little too much on the side, and so I'm just tapering it down a little bit to help it along. I could have sat there and melted it, but I'm doing that. And now I'm heating the very middle of the heart in the front. This is going to be the front. Heating the very center and holding it downward, letting it droop down. So I'm holding it flat side down. And that's the back side. And so I flatten that a little bit because you want it to lay flat against your chest. And so I kind of flatten that. And now I'm heating the bottom. I'm kind of condensing it back down towards the mandrel, but I'm not heating the humps at all in this section. I'm heating the bottom section, what's underneath the mandrel. And I'm kind of condensing that down to fatten up the heart a little bit, so the heart will be a little chunky. And I'm redefining my cut there in the heart because it was starting to disappear and meld together. So I'm just doing a little redefinition there, which you can always do. And so I'm heating this mass on the bottom. And then I just pinch it and I pull a little bit. It's like, that's the curve I want. So I stop. And so now I'm just heating that very bottom just to get the point out. So if you see the shape you want, stop pulling right away, because you can always reheat the very bottom and pinch off that little excess on the bottom that you flattened with your tweezers previously and pull that off into a nice point. So that was a very short pull, and I had exactly the size heart I wanted. So it all depends if you want a longer heart or a shorter heart. So there's my basic heart, and of course this is red, so it looks black when it's hot. And I'm putting a little curly Q with white. I call these my scroll hearts. It's a little curly Q, and then I run it along the one side of the heart. And so it was a little too close to that inside spiral there, and I'm trying to push the outside of that curl away a little bit. And then also on my curve down, there was a little bit of a wiggle there. And so I'm just straightening that out with my razor blade. So if you make a little bit of a crooked line, you can actually heat the glass. You heat the line a little bit, but then also heat the glass underneath it that's on the base of your heart or whatever bead you're using. And then you could push it over with a tool. So that's always a great option. And so I'm just pulling out the very bottom so that white on the bottom will taper down to a very fine point. And so I could have left it like this. So I'm straightening it out the other way too. But I could have left it like this, but I went ahead and put dots on it, which was probably a mistake because the top dots actually melded in together. And I did separate them so they actually look like separate dots, except for if you look closely, you could see they're touching each other. But they do have definition between them. So it's an okay heart. I just wasn't happy with the result. So it started out well. So I'm putting all my dots. So I call these my scroll hearts. It's one of a series that I do. But of course you don't have to do this. You could put any kind of decoration you want on them. You could put flowers, or you could leave them plain. You could put hearts on the next one. On my white heart, I'm just going to put a scroll without dots. And then on the other, the horizontal or the vertical hold heart, I'm actually going to put a raised heart on top of that heart. So see here, I'm trying to define the separate dots there because they kind of melded together. And so that was, you know, kind of like a little mistake there, although the heart didn't turn out badly, and it's a really nice shape and a really nice color. But that's that heart, and I didn't even do a close-up on it because I was so upset. But here's the white heart. I already got it pretty much shaped, but the nice side, or the side that was sticking out more and had a nice curvature to it, was opposite from me than I normally do. So I actually had to make this heart backwards. When I put the design on, I had to do it backwards, which is okay. I mean, I've done it before. It's not something that's very strange to me because it happens. So this just happened to, the heart seemed to puff out on the wrong side that I would normally face me to decorate. See, that's the back side, what you're seeing right now. And so I'm going to actually put on the little curly Q scroll upside down. And I just wanted to show you that because you can do it either way. It doesn't really matter, just as long as you get the design you want on your bead. So there's the heart, and it's a really nice shape. Really well-shaped heart in pure white. And now I'm going to get a little purple encased stringer, and I'm going to do a big curly Q where it's since this is encased, it has a lighter purple with a darker purple. I'm going to kind of go around a couple of times there and actually touch one another, so it's like a little spiral at the top instead of a separate curly Q, you know, instead of separated like on the white one. Those are actually touching in the center, in that little curly Q. It's all touching because you'll have the darker lines of purple and the lighter purple. So it kind of looked nice that way. So now I'm just fixing it, making sure it all is laying even, and I have enough of the stringer melted in so that it's not, I don't have any undercuts. I don't want any of that stringer to pop off later, so you want to make sure it's melted in enough. And then I'm just going to pull out the end there and get a nice taper at the very bottom of the heart. So you have a nice even taper there. And that one went a lot smoother than the red one. And see if I could zoom in. It's kind of hard to see because it's still glowing and it's dark purple. But that's the little scroll heart there. Now for the vertical hole. So this is like, you would put this on a head pin or wear it as a pendant. But a lot of people make vertical hold hearts. And I wanted to show how to do that too. So I have my holes defined, especially the bottom one. You want a nice dimple in the bottom. And then I flatten. And so this is a cone shape that you flatten out. And I get the chill marks out of either side. And you want to make sure also, you might want to do these on thinner mandrels, because the thicker the mandrel, the less you're going to be able to make what looks like a point at the bottom of your heart, because you have to have enough glass around that bottom edge of the heart so that it doesn't crack. And you don't want any sharp ends either. So you need enough glass. You know, usually the standard rule is however thick your mandrel is, that's how thick your glass should be around the mandrel. So you want at least, you know, about that thickness. So if you have a thicker mandrel, you're not going to be able to make a very defined point in your heart. So thinner mandrels are better with these. But anyway, so after I have that initial shape, I add more glass to either side to define the humps. And I'm just melting those in one at a time and seeing if it's enough glass. I'm not really sure. I might add some more here, but you melt those in. And this is what fattens up your heart and makes it a little more chunky, and also makes really nice humps on your heart. And so I think I'm going to add a little bit more glass. And so you want to make sure your hearts are even, unless you want to purposefully make your hearts off center, that's fine too. But I usually like my hearts symmetrical. And I'm adding a little, whoop, and my stringer, my rod flew off and it hit me in the arm. Sorry. Sorry about that. I forgot that happened. So oh no, I didn't lose it. It's right there. But it kind of flew off and it hit me in the arm. I think I got a burn on my arm, which is normal. I'm used to burns. They don't bother me anymore. But I forgot that I smacked my arm into the camera tripod. But anyway, back to the video. So I'm adding a little more glass to the sides and to the one hump that I thought was smaller than the other side. And if you wanted, you can add a lot more glass to the bottom sides and make your heart a little more rounded. It's all how you want these hearts to look. This heart is going to be a little more, tall and skinny versus my horizontal whole hearts. I like my horizontal hearts, wide and tapered quickly, a quick taper at the bottom, but this will have a longer taper. But you could add more glass to either side, lower down on either side, to have less of an elongation look to the heart. So now I'm heating both of the humps together. I got them about the same size, and I am going to hold it upside down. And this allows you to define that center section where the heart comes down. So you'll have the humps going upward, and then the nice taper there. And so I had one hump, I think, go up a little higher than the other hump. And so I'm trying to melt that to come down a little bit more, to come down and widen out a little bit more. And so I'm sitting there holding it. I'm holding it to try to get it to move with gravity, just move outward a little bit, to be a little fatter and wider. And so that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm going to put a little raised heart on top of this heart. So this is another showing of how I do a little raised heart. And this is an encased pink stringer, I believe. So when I pulled out the point at the bottom of this heart, it didn't totally taper down to a perfect point at the bottom, and that's because I had the transparent stringer, you know, the transparent color over a solid pink color. So I thought it was all the way tapered out, but it wasn't. It kind of disappeared in there, but it still looks nice. So I have my 2 dots right next to each other, touching each other, and then 1 smaller dot underneath. And I heat all of those up. I meld them together. I kind of heat from the bottom side though, and then I pull out the taper point. And I heat from the bottom because I want to keep those little humps there. I don't want the humps to kind of meld in and make just a big circle. I want to keep them, so I heat from the bottom edge a little bit. And so I'm keep trying to define that point to how I want it. And then you can also redefine your little cut at the top of the heart. So that's what I'm going to do here. Well, I'm kind of flattening that one out to make it look bigger. And I just put a little dent right there, just to redefine the little cut mark in that heart. And then you have a raised little heart on top of your big heart. And I'm just reheating, making sure everything's nice and toasty, and striking that red. And there is the final bead. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.